Was the second of the 6 rounds in the series, with Ponciano Lwakataka out in front, having won round 1.
I have never won ARC. I've been number two for more than 2 years. But this is now, I think this is my time even to be number 1. Last time I used to drive N4. Now I upgraded my car, now I'm on N8. So I think I do better than last time.
The pre-event check of the cars at the Lugogo Shell fuel station signaled the start of the event. And with all but one of the cars passing through scrutineering, they made their way to the ceremonial start at the modern Oasis shopping mall in the heart of Kampala. The government of Uganda endorsed the importance of the event through the presence of the Minister of Sport.
To all participants, I say welcome to this year's Power of African Rally. By attracting participants from across our borders, the Power of Africa Uganda Rally is promoting unity and peace in our region.
The start is from outside KCB's flagship Oasis branch, but for now, all eyes were on Ponciano Lwakataka and Musa Msubuga, who had been drawn number 1. At the drop of the flag, the rally was underway, heading for the first of 20 stages over 3 days of stiff competition. The Lubiri spectator stage in the grounds of the King of Uganda's palace must be one of the most spectacular that can be found anywhere in the world. It was standing room only on the embankment overlooking the 2-kilometer circuit, where over 20,000 enthusiastic rally fans waited patiently for the action to begin. And when it did, the cheering was deafening. For the drivers, the experience of performing in front of such a huge audience was daunting, especially as it was their skill the crowds were here to see, as well as their mistakes. Two attempts were made at the stage, and Ronald Sebuguzi with Cedric Buzabo would have been third, but they incurred a 40-second penalty, which put them out of contention. Third place went to Christakis Fatidis and Guy Deklever, driving one of 3 Subaru N12s entered. Second quickest were Jamie White and Phil Arconol, who kept the car at full throttle. Taking the honours and giving the crowd what they wanted to see were the Ugandan crew of Jazz Mangat and Olivia Megank. Watch the front right-hand wheel, which blows on their second attempt. It didn't affect their times, and they were quickest by 1 second.
It was great. We tried to put on a show and keep the car on the road, and it worked. After the sprint, we got amazing response from the crowd, which is the best crowd in Africa.
With the formalities of day 1 behind them, the crews retired for the evening, leaving the city night life for another time. They were focused on what lay ahead, and early the following morning, once again returned to their mounts. There was no receding, and it was Ponciano Lwakataka and Musa Msubuga who led the field away from the first control, 30 kilometers out of Kampala. Day 2 would be the longest, covering 140 competitive kilometers split into 6 stages that were repeated twice. Stage 3 was the longest at 17 kilometers, with stages 5 and 7 short 5-kilometer sprints. All the stages were on narrow tracks best described as awkward and technical. Out on the stages, Ponciano Lwakataka and Musa Msubuga had an accident early on, which put them off the pace. The windscreen was smashed and eventually removed altogether. It took time to get into a rhythm, but when they did, they got quicker and quicker, and even won stage 8. But overall, they were down in 5th, 3 minutes behind.
I don't know that we finished, because even my car has got a mechanical problem. It has a circuit, so it has a wiring problem now because of that accident.
So that's not giving you power or what?
It has no power.
Jamie White and Phil Arconol only had 1 goal, to be the quickest of the ARC contenders. They were fastest through 3 of the 6 stages on the first loop of the sections, edging out an overall lead of 2.5 minutes. They had not been driving on the limit and were surprised to be so far ahead this early on.
I've just actually now got a new set of shocks. I flew in off to Kenya. So I've got a new set of riders in there now, and it's a different motor. Touch wood so far, it's behaving itself and everything's fine. Service crew is doing a good job, so it's great so far.
Jas Mangat and Olivia McGang wanted nothing more than to win on their home event. They were putting pressure on Jamie White, and when they won stage 7, they knew they had a chance. But they were dealt a cruel hand when a ball joint sheared, leaving them with no steering. And they ended their rally in the undergrowth.
We tried slowing it down with putting lower gears and brakes, and we hit a few poles. There's a fence on the side, so they slowed us down. And the soil is really muddy, so that also helped us.
Giancarlo De Vite and Silver Wintervogel were driving hard, desperate not to let White get away. But the engine was down on power with low boost pressure. To compound this, they punctured and decided to continue rather than stop. But in the process, they bent an arm, forcing them to lose time in service. Despite this, they were still quick enough to claim second overall.
Now, I don't have the pressure in the turbo, so when you have long straight on, where you need the speed. I'm losing a lot of speed, so my times are very low.
Ronald Sebuguzi and Cedric Buzabo were relishing in the performance of their new Evo 9. They quickly adapted and were setting impressive times that put them in the lead of the Ugandan competition. They were lying 3rd overall.
It's quicker, even if you step on the bridge, it's still pushing you. I'm trying, but I failed on first section. My bridge is low. Now I managed to repair.
Only 1 second behind Sebuguzi were Nasser Mutebi and Bashils Mbogo driving a Subaru N4. This was only the 6th rally they had entered since taking up the sport, and through the experience gained were proving to be formidable competitors.
We have problems, but they're not major. I say we lost about 30 seconds in the previous section because our computer sorted and we had a lot of smoke in the car, but the car sorted itself and we began moving all again. Yeah, so that is it. There's no major problems.
The competition between the local crews vying for the Uganda National Rally Championship was all very close. And the outcome on this, the biggest event on their annual calendar, was not only for personal gain, but was important for them to make their mark for the season ahead. In 6th were Godfrey Lubega and George Semakula.
We haven't got major problems, except we had in the first section we skied. It was muddy. The weather is now cool, and the roads, I think, the surface is now okay. So the car will be moving so fast.
One crew who would not gain points were Dr. Ashraf Ahmed and Daniel Ayebare. They were pushing for what would have been a position amongst the top 5, but would not prove this when the car caught fire at the end of stage 4.
All of a sudden, all the electricals went dead. We couldn't put the windows down, the center locking was on, we couldn't open the doors, and there was a state of panic. There was smoke from the bonnet, smoke from the tires, so we'll race another day, but not this day, not today.
Rallying in Uganda is unlike any other event in the African Rally Championship, and for Christakis Futidis and Guy Deklever, it was their first experience. Understandably, they started cautiously whilst they settled in, and found themselves in 7th, but they'd been lucky along the way.
No, we had a problem. They forgot to tie well the bolts of the front wheel. Almost at the end of the 4th stage, it was almost losing the wheel. We are lucky that we saw it.
After the first 70 kilometers of competitive motoring, Jamie White had opened up a lead of 2.5 minutes over Giancarlo De Vite